Hey everyone. I interviewed one of our senior dental hygiene students for this podcast episode, and it was so much fun. I think you'll notice a difference in my voice in this episode because there's just so much joy that comes out of me whenever I'm talking with a dental hygiene student, or I'm interacting with one, or I'm helping one, supporting one, or in this case, letting their voice be heard by sharing their story on the podcast. And this was a stretch for Zach. Zach is a senior dental hygiene student, and I had him his very first semester of dental hygiene school in clinic and in oral anatomy. And when he took oral anatomy, he did this choice project where he wrote a really sweet poem. And it was one of those moments when he shared it with the class that just kind of resonated with everyone, kind of stuck with me for sure. And I had several students reach out to me and say, "Oh, Zach should share his poem on your podcast." So I recently reached out to Zach and we connected on Zoom to record this podcast together. And so much more came out of this episode than just sharing his poem. Zach and I talk about journaling and the whole experience he's had, some of his trials and tribulations through dental hygiene school. And he really opens up about the whole process of how he made the determination that it was, in fact, what he was going to do with the rest of his life, or at least this chapter or stage. And I just love his story. And we talk a little bit about journaling and we talk about his poem. He shares his poem and we talk just a little bit about life to end the segment. And if this speaks to you, then this is definitely one that you want to tune into. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did spending time with Zach. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Happy Flosser podcast. My name is Billy Lunt. I am your host, and I'm here to talk to you about all things dental hygiene to support you on your journey through the dental hygiene program. Welcome. So glad to have you. Hey, are you in dental hygiene school or just got your acceptance letter and just started dental hygiene school and you're worried about how you're going to fit it all in, what the evaluations are like, what the key strategies you need to set up in order to be successful? You don't want to have worked all this time to get accepted into dental hygiene school only to make some pretty major errors in your first and second semester. I've put together a course that will really help you set yourself straight right out of the gate and get yourself started on the right foot in dental hygiene school. Whether or not you're just entering school or you've done your prerequisites and you're just well on your way halfway through, this course is designed to help get you straight and keep you straight so that you can become a dental hygienist. Click the link in the show notes and check it out. So, Zach, tell me about your journey to coming to NHTI and how you became a dental hygiene student. Like, what led you to the profession? Where are we at here?
So I had a couple friends in high school that ended up going into dental hygiene, and at the time, I really didn't think much of it. I was thinking like, what am I gonna do? I kind of wrote it off like that's not something that I think will be for me. And I went quite a few years out of high school. I got my general education out of the way, and I still was stuck. I was working in a restaurant, then I went to a deli, and I was thinking, what should I do with my life, I guess? Like, it's just such a
Mm.
hard question. You don't really know what you want to do. And then somebody finally asked me the question, where do you feel comfortable? And I think that question really stuck with me because
Mm.
I stopped thinking about so many things about like all the different aspects of a job. And then I thought, where am I comfortable? Like what would fit for me? So I I started thinking about things, and then I thought about my dentist, and everyone thought I was crazy for bringing that up. They're like, "The dentist, I
Well,
don't feel
Zach,
comfortable at
I
dentists
don't
at all."
know many people that feel comfortable at the dentist, so I think that's interesting to put
Exactly.
comfortable with dentist. That's
So
awesome.
that's and that's what made me think like, well, if I'm comfortable with the dentist and not many people are, this might be good for me because there might be a position for me at the dentist that I could fill that many people would shy from. So I thought, okay, well, let me look into it. So, okay, being me, I arranged 3 meetings with 3 different hygienists at 3 different points of their careers, and I
You're
it
so
was so
smart. That's
it
so
was
good.
it was very, like, geeky. I had this notebook set up, I had, these meetings set up, and they were at different places in the city, and one was 2 years in, one was close to 7 years in, and one was 15 years into their career, so I really wanted to ask them all the same sets of questions and see what results I got. Already being scientific, not even realizing that this is something that would carry
Yeah.
into like my career essentially. But yeah, and then I asked all these questions, and I really liked the answers I got. And what I liked most is that they stayed consistent between all the different years of hygienists, and they all loved their careers in every stage that they're in. So
Wow.
I thought, well, I have to shadow. So I shadowed. I loved it and I applied. I just like no one knew, and I just applied like to NHTI. I got in, and then there was the interview process, and that was definitely scary because there's like a couple different interviews you have to go through just to get into the program. But once that all happened, I mean, before I knew it, I was sitting at orientation thinking, "Oh my god!" Like, and also getting in is hard because there's hundreds of applicants and only about 40 roughly people get in. So I was just thinking, wow, this is like so crazy. And looking around, I know we've discussed before about like females versus males in the program and how there's predominantly females. Like I could maybe say worldwide, at least like nationwide, there's many females. Um, and there was two of us. There's me and a fellow student named Nick. And I was just surprised and glad to see that there was another guy in the program. And um, yeah, so it's just really nice because the year before me, like when I was a freshman, my seniors, and then the freshman class coming in after me, there's no males. So
Mhm.
it's nice to see that at least we're together, like in the same. We happen to be in the same program. It feels like what's the word? Like it feels
We have a connection there, you know?
yes.
Yeah.
It feels like I could see like representation. I suppose it feels like when I was a child and I saw hygienists, I never ever saw a male. And in like if you ever see them portrayed on like online or on TV or whatever, like it's never a male. So I never even thought that it could be a career for me. And now that I hope to be that kind of like role model or at least that like figure for somebody who might be thinking in the future, like what do I want to do? And then see that there's a male hygienist, at least one, and see like that could be something that I could do versus just thinking, well, it's just females in the like hygiene profession. And that was a thought of mine too. Like, oh, there's only females. Like, will I be discriminated against? Will I be like judged? Will I be this or that? And then I kind of overcame it and was like, no, I don't think that's really something that I think anymore. And I was like, I kind of want to be like move those negative thoughts to the side and just think like, no, this is just chase what you want. Chase if this is
Yeah.
something that you want, then go for it. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was a long question or
No,
answer.
that's great. Well, I think, as you know, my feelings on that, whenever you can have a mix of all different people from all different walks of life, it makes your profession stronger. And
Mhm.
there's other male hygienists out there, but I do think it's relatively a small group. So one person can make a big difference, and you can be an advocate to, you know, strengthen, strengthen numbers, but even one can make a difference. So maybe you will inspire other male folks to think, "Oh, maybe dental hygiene is a profession that I can pursue." I love that you were a researcher before you became a dental hygiene student, and you had a controlled set of survey questions for your population and the people that you you interviewed to become a hygienist, and I think that's really great. That gave you so much information just by doing that so that you could confidently make the decision to go into hygiene. I just think that's great. I didn't know that story, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to make sure that. I mean, I'm the type of person that in a birthday card aisle, like, I will take an hour just to figure out what kind of card I want. So thinking about my career, I was like, this is something I'm gonna have to do or that I'm gonna want to do for like the rest of my working life for the most part. So I was like, oh, this is a big decision. So I was like, let me do as much research as I can. I was like always looking things up online, always watching YouTube videos. And then I was like, well, I need to do something with people in real life. So then I decided to do that. My mom thought it was funny. She's like my best friend. She was there with me during the whole thing. um, and she was like, "You're gonna do what?" I said, "I'm going out to lunch with a hygienist, and gonna ask her all these questions." She's like, "Okay, if that's what's gonna help you, then yeah." And it did. It really did. Like, it did a lot.
Well, you never know how many people, will listen to that and say, "Ooh, I could do that too." Even if they don't become a hygienist, they could say, "Okay, what is it that, I'm comfortable with?" And then pursue it in the very same strategic way that you're very strategic, Zach. So pursue it in the very same strategic way that you have, and then have that confidence to say, "You know what? I don't know everything about this profession, but I know enough to take the first step." And that's
Yes.
what I think you did for yourself, because tell me what kind of surprises, you still fell into when you started hygiene school, even with all the preparation and research that you did.
So, when I was shadowing in particular, it was a friend of mine named Amanda, and, I remember being there and thinking, "This is so wonderful, like, I'm loving this." I talked to her and asked her what her struggles were with, like, becoming a hygienist and to the point where she was at then, and she said the first word that came out of her mouth was school. She said, "Schooling is the hardest thing." And at the time, I had already finished my first like college career for getting my general education out of the way.
Mhm.
So I was thinking, college was definitely challenging and difficult, but I was like, I can do it. Like I'm the kind of person that can say I can do it. And oh boy, once I started, it was it was definitely I can confidently say this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Like, being in hygiene school has challenged me more than anything I've ever done, and it's shown me every aspect of myself, how I can face challenges, how I deal with uh, failure, because there will guaranteed be something that you fail in hygiene school, and it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that, as you have called it a year ago, and I remember it now, and I will always remember, failing isn't failing. It's a learning opportunity. And to piggyback off of that, you've said take every success with gratitude and every loss or failure with grace. And I think that's very important because when I failed my first and I think my only evaluation. It was freshman year. It was disinfection, and it felt like it was the end of the world. It felt like I was like, oh my goodness, am I cut out for this? It makes you question everything.
Yeah.
And then I just took a step back and said, you know what? I will never forget the one thing that I messed up on, which ended up making everything fail on that part because it was like contamination. But it was it was really a chance for me to frame my mind around like I can either be really upset right now and like blame everybody around me and think like this is awful, or I can say, I won't forget what I did wrong. I will understand that my instructor had to do what they had to do, and they had to fail me because that was exactly it wouldn't be right. It'd be unethical if they didn't. And I had a classmate who failed the same exact thing, and I saw the way she took it, and she really wasn't happy at all. And she was being very negative, and I was thinking, well, I don't think I want to be like that because later she came to me after that was all over and she said, I really didn't like the way I handled that. And I was thinking, yeah, it's really how you take the failure sometimes. Like it's not so much what it's about, it's how you take it. So I know that we have discussed before one of my biggest challenges in the entire program was a fateful day, and it was your midterm, and it had nothing to do with your midterm. It was everything about my alarm clock, but it was awful. It sounds like the biggest excuse, and I wish it didn't sound so cliche, but my alarm clock literally broke. It didn't just not go off, it broke. Like, I'm looking at the new one I have right now in my room because that one held the worst memory because I remember I woke up feeling refreshed that morning, and I shouldn't have because I was like, I was studying, the night before, and I really felt like I knew my stuff. Like, I knew my stuff for that midterm. And I was thinking, huh, I never wake up before my alarm clock on a school day. Like, that's not normal. And then I went over and my alarm clock was black. And I was like, oh my God. And my
Mm.
stomach just fell to the floor. And then I went to my phone, which I don't use a phone for alarm clock for like, so like, anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. But I don't. And I went and saw that it was, I think at the time it was just over, or like it was right about to be over the
Just about
midterm.
over, yeah.
And I started freaking out, hysterically crying, like, I was thinking, "Oh my god, this is it, like, everything I've done, everything I worked for to this point is over, like, I if I fail this midterm, there's no way I can get my grade up enough to finish the course, and if we know that if you fail one didactic course, that's the rules, like, you no longer can continue in the program." And I was just thinking, "Oh my god," and so I called my mom, there she is
Yes,
again,
you
my
did.
mom, and I said, "Oh my god, what do I do?" Like, and I told her the story, and she was like a rock. She was like, "Zach, calm down, it's okay." She's like, "This is bad, but it's okay." She's like, "We can you can call your teacher, call someone, and see what's going on, see what you can do." I was like, there's nothing I can do. I know it's over." And she's like, "Zach, I'm gonna need you to pull it together. Like, it's okay." And you know what? Fast forward to when I called and then I asked for you, and they were like, "Oh, she's in the class." I was like, "Please, I just need to talk to Mrs. Lunt right now." And they were like, "Okay." I think it was Mrs. McDonald that I
Of
spoke to.
course it was, because if there's anyone that can fix a problem, it's Mrs. McDonald.
Yeah, she really can. She's like a superhero. So I was like, "Okay, okay." And she's like, "Please just hold for a second." And I remember the second I heard your voice on the phone, I already felt like a little bit better, but then it just started coming out again, and I was like hysterical. And I was like, "Mrs. Lund," and you were like, just like my mother, you were like, "Zach, it's okay. Like, we need you to like take a breath and realize that it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We got this." And you said, "Can you make it in time for like a segment of it or something?" And I said, "No, I live like 40 minutes away." And you said, "Okay, well, you know what we can do?" You said that since I was not usually ever a late person, or I didn't really ever just not show up, you were kind of combing through the protocols to see what
Yes,
you could do for me. And
yes.
you said, "Well, if you know there's one exception, like, it won't be the same thing as you taking the midterm with your classmates, but we can make it work somehow." And I ended up coming in,
Yes.
we made it work, I had less time than everyone else, but that's okay because of the circumstances, and I still got a good grade on the midterm because I knew my stuff, and I knew my stuff, but yeah, that was probably one of the biggest challenges of all of it, but the biggest challenge is this semester right now.
Yes.
Yeah, senior
It's
year is
tough. Yeah.
uh,
Well, I have to say from your class's perspective, while you were sleeping, um, and and we were starting the midterm, what I truly love about dental hygiene, and it starts freshman year when you guys first become a cohort, all of your classmates were freaking out for you. Like,
yeah.
here we are, we're starting the exam, and I think everybody was saying, "Where's Zach? Where's Zach? Where's Zach? Where's Zach? Oh my gosh, Zach's not here. Where's Zach? Where's Zach?" And I was trying to calm the class and myself, right? Because I was saying, "Where's Zach?"
Where's that?
While you're in REM sleep, you
Sleeping.
know?
I know. How awful.
But it
People
was,
are telling me hospitals
it
to
was
see if I had
it was
a
actually
car.
quite sweet to see. Just I mean, you were only 8 weeks in on your freshman year, 1st semester, and you had an entire cohort of students caring about your well-being, where you are, your success. Why are you not here? Because just like you said, you never were late or missed something. So I knew something major was going on, but anyway, it all works out, and I'm sure you learned something very valuable from that,
Yes.
but what I saw was the love and care from your classmates, which was really, really exactly what the profession is all about, you know? I can't tell you how many times in my professional career where, the other hygienist, their kid is sick, or you're just doing whatever you can to help them out, and it starts in school. That collaboration between one another starts in school, and that was just your first glimpse into the caring nature of your fellow students, and they all were worried about you that day.
Yeah. They were. They said that they were even calling hospitals because they thought I might have been in a car crash. I was like, "Oh my good." I felt bad about everything that happened, and I felt even worse that they were all so distracted from the test because of me, and it was just a whole lot of, "Oh my goodness." But you're right, I did feel so touched that everybody, like, even people I'd never met in the building heard that I was, like, late to the midterm and was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you made it." And I'm like,
Yes,
"Who are you?" Like, it was so sweet, like, I was like, "I don't even know who you are, and you were concerned about me." So you're right, it does, and I feel like those friendships last and those relationships last a lifetime because I hear many of the professors talk about how they're still in touch with people that they went to school with X amount of years ago,
yeah,
and you guys still go out and hang out and do all sorts of stuff, so I'm like, "Wow, that's nice," and I already know that I'm gonna be seeing the people that I'm with now that I've had such a close relationship with for the duration of my life because I don't know, you grow a lot together and you really I wouldn't be able to do anything in this program if it wasn't for the support system. And that includes the professors, but it also really includes your peers and your students because you're all working toward the same goal. And at first it can feel like maybe it could be like a little bit of a competition between you and other people in your class. And then you're like, that kind of wipes away really quickly because I feel like that's the natural thing to think.
yeah,
And then you're like, no, we're all here for the same thing and we're all trying to get to the same goal. So let's all work together to make this happen. So that's what I really like. And
absolutely.
yeah, I feel like maybe, like, I was just thinking, like, maybe that was a reason why they voted me for the vice president because I was thinking like, well, I feel like if anything, I tried to recognize that support system that we all have, and I'm like, no, we're all here. We all want to go to that pinning ceremony together. Like, I want to see every face in this room
Yeah.
at that last moment. So yes, but
Absolutely, it takes a village. So Bob Dylan said in one of his songs, "People who suffer together have stronger connections than people who are most content." So I'm thinking the challenges of dental hygiene school really create those strong bonds because I would say the same, when you go through that whole process as a group, you help one another, and then in the end, you can't help but keep in contact and see how people are doing over time.
agreed. I'm excited to see how this relationships with all these people flourish because we'll all be taking our first steps into the real world together. We'll all be facing different challenges with different types of like patients, patient populations, things we haven't even experienced in school. Because, as you said, you know, 2 years feels like a long time at first, but it flies by. And we're here to give you guys your basic tools so you can walk out into private practice to begin and to take those and just grow from them. And so I feel like we're all going to be learning from each other even past once we get through the brick walls of the school, we're gonna continue learning for the rest of our careers, especially as technology advances and things change. We're gonna have to stay on top of that anyways. So what better than to have people around you that are doing the same thing that can keep you updated as much as possible.
Fabulously said. Fabulously said,
Thank
Zack.
you. Thank you.
So one of the reasons why, we connected today was because when you were a freshman dental hygiene student, not so long ago, I know you're in I know you're in your toughest semester right now, and when I spoke with you a couple weeks ago and I said, "Would you like to share your poem on the podcast?" And you said, "I just have to get through midterms first."
I remember that day. I was very like, I was so in it, and I was like thinking about everything I had to do, and I was like, I'd absolutely love to, but right now it feels like I have this huge thing in front of me, and you're like, of course, we can definitely put it off until after midterms.
So are you feeling lighter or are you still feeling still feeling
I
heavy?
I think it just depends every time you have midterms how you feel after, and that goes person to person. But after taking my midterms, I feel satisfied with my results, and I think after that moment, I feel good. And yes, and I was also flattered that you told me that the other students from my class suggested that I share my poem because they still remember it
Yeah.
to this day, which feels like a lifetime ago. So, yes, absolutely. I'm definitely willing and happy to share my poem with you and
All
everybody
right,
listening.
Zach. Well, I think, well, poetry sometimes helps people remember things, and there's a lot to remember in dental hygiene school. So if your poem helps people remember things, then I think it's definitely worth sharing for sure. I really enjoyed it when I read it the first time and your personality comes out in it when you say it, because when I read it, it was one level of love.
Mhm.
But when you read it to your classmates and stood up there in front of the class and took that bold step, right?
Yes.
Everyone loves public speaking. Um, it had a totally different vibe to it when you shared it. So I'm really glad you're going to share it in your own voice
Oh,
with
good. I'm glad. Okay. Because I do feel like everything is different. Like from a reading perspective, if someone creates something like a poem, it could be read in so many different ways. So for the original person who wrote it to read it, I feel like it really gets the message across, like what it's about or like how it's supposed to be read or things of that nature. So yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
but on a side note, clinic's going really well
That's
and
awesome.
even faster. I did my first full half mouth like cleaning in one appointment, and it was a calc 2 perio 2, but I felt really good about it. So it was like 15 teeth, I think, altogether, maybe 16. And I just like went right through it, and there was a lot of staining involved. And I was just so happy when I was done. I was like, wow, what a difference between the left and the right side right now. Like, this is
Yeah,
just so exciting. Like, I
that's
can do it. I know I
awesome.
can do it.
I know you can do it too, but it's when I just said to a student the other day, my job is not to teach you anything, it's to help you believe in yourself.
And
That's
I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that because it's once you start thinking that you can do it, that's when you really can. Because if
yeah,
everyone's saying something, you're not really going to hear it. But once you say it, you're going to listen. You're going to be like, okay, I can do
I can do
it.
this, I can do this, and that's really dental hygiene school in a nutshell. Once you believe in yourself, it's time to graduate.
That's what I said. I said, I can do half a mouth. I'm ready. I was like, put me out there. Let's go.
Let's do this.
No, absolutely, and then I was like, "All right, humble myself. I'm absolutely not ready for that yet." But I was like, "This is." It was really a good feeling. And in my journal, I know I'm like one of the select few that really enjoy writing the journals, but I mean, because I write like a story with it. But I wrote about it, and I was like, "I'm so excited. This went so well." La da da. So yeah, I just want my instructor to be able to like feel the emotions that I was feeling because I feel like the journals are mainly about learning things and learning things about ourselves and also kind of telling that to someone else or perhaps ourselves again when we read it once more. So I just want my instructor to be able to like understand why I did what I did that day and like understand how I felt when I was doing these things and how I interacted with my patient and things like that because that's what I really feel like the instructor's not reading it to learn how to use a 1314 because they know how to use a 1314. They know how to interact with patients, but they want to know how I did it and like how I do it. So that's what I like about that. But some people just take it as another assignment and just say like, today I did this.
Yeah.
This is how I felt. But like, I don't know. I just try to jazz it up for myself and the reader so that they're interested more. But
That's good.
yeah.
You'll appreciate that, because I still have my journals from when I was in hygiene school, and you
Really?
will appreciate that about yourself later on when come across them and you decide to read them again, and you'll just actually laugh at yourself because some things you'll see that never change about you in your clinical
Mhm.
situation, and then there'll be other things that you notice, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that was a struggle for me." you know? It's so weird.
Disinfection, like disinfection in particular. It's so funny. I'm like, I can do disinfection in like what is it, like 10 minutes now or whatever. And even then, even in the future, I'll be thinking, oh, 10 minutes. Like I can do it even quicker now because we're gonna have to, considering you have to like do it between patients so quickly. But yeah, it's just funny. You can see your growth patterns so much. And to think that only a calendar year ago I knew close to nothing. And then now
Yeah,
I'm well on my way to becoming a hygienist. It's just a wild thought, but you guys said it goes by in a second, and it really does. It
it
it feels
really
like it's
does.
flying by. So
Yeah. Well, those journals will be very valuable to some future dental hygiene student. Maybe you can write a book and stick 'em in it.
yeah, I could do a collaboration with like me and other students and say like our experiences and be like, hey, this is how it worked. If you feel like you're struggling, know that I'm well in my career now, but I was in your same shoes. So here you
Yes.
go. I do it in a way that I'm hoping they can like read it just like a story exactly. Like I want them to know how the day went, the goods, the bads, the uglies, everything that was involved in it. So yeah, just like a book. I mean, I write a journal sometimes myself, like in real life. So
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of just incorporated that into like the hygiene world and just mixed the two because just like you can learn something from everything, if that could help, I might as well do that now. While most of my emotions are in those stories, so you just forget about a lot of little stuff like that. So
Yeah.
um, yeah. So in the same
Zack,
way,
I journal too, and I will tell you something because 'cause you're still really young. We tend to, on our journey, be exposed to the same experiences over and over until we get it right. I really believe that, and I only believe that because I look back on my journals.
and you're still learning from it now. Like you're still saying, "Oh my god, I figured it out back then." Like,
Well, and then the universe gives you new challenges, right? So the
yeah,
minute you figure something out and you move on, it's like, "All right, now what?" What's and
another
something
one.
else.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it. But I'm glad to hear that you journal, Zach. I find it to be really helpful for myself to kinda organize my brain. It's certainly interesting to see how you grow over time.
Yes, definitely. And even 10 years ago now, because I'm 26, so 16, 10 years, I just go back and think, what was my thought process back
Yeah.
then? Like you said, there's some similarities, but definitely you can see how much you've grown and see like how you even wrote, like because your
Yes.
writing changes, your writing style, and even your penmanship changes and things like that. Like I think there's a lot of soul to handwriting, and to see handwriting change and develop over time kind of speaks true to how that person was thinking. Because sometimes you might be like scribbling because you have so many thoughts coming out at once, and
Yes.
sometimes you write clear and concise because you have just like this one thought process going on and you just need to get it down on paper. So yeah, it is, it's really cool. And so I can't have that with the typing obviously, but you still have it with the thought process and seeing how things have changed. And at the end of the midterms or at the end of the clinic, like the finals, you get to see all that wrapped together because you get to go back and see them and put them into one paper and see like, wow, like already so much growth in just this period of time. So just
Yes.
like in real life you have so much growth, just like in school you have so much growth too. So
Yeah,
yes,
it's really great. I'm glad to hear that you do that and you see the value in it because it really is it's one of the best ways to develop critical thinking skills.
is to like see how you thought yourself, because
Mhm.
who's gonna, you can read all you want about other people, but once you read what you wrote, then you can say, okay, the only person I can hold accountable for it is me with
Yeah.
this. So yes, yeah, okay,
Okay. Well, we
you're
kinda got
ready.
off on a
I know. I know. But it felt good. It feels good to catch up because I feel like, before I had you as an instructor who was like always teaching me, I usually came to you for like advice on things that were going on for your class in specific usually. But now I can talk to you about like just overall how I'm doing and like what's going on and like maybe if you have anything to which you've shared so far about what goes on in the whole scheme of things. That's
Yeah.
exciting. I'm another step closer to being an RDH. So I'm sure we'll be in contact again once I am an RDH, and I'll say, Mrs. Lunn, I'm freaking out. What am I doing? And you're like, "Yo,
Um,
that's fine."
yeah, I'm always here, Zach. I meet with students all the time that graduate, and they just hit me up on Instagram or whatever, and then we'll have a Zoom call together because they just have something they need to hash out, you know? It's all good.
Good, I'm glad. I'm glad you're a resource in school and out of school and everything in between, so that's good.
Well, and one of the struggles I had when I became a professor, when I was a hygienist, one of my favorite things was building relationships with patients. You just become really connected and attached to them over time. And as a professor, everybody leaves you and you want them to leave because that means they graduate.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you're still building, you're hoping that you've given them everything you have. You know, I leave nothing on the table at the end of every semester. I can tell because I'm drained by the end of every semester and I need a recharge, you know. But when you guys go on and move on and grow and develop and become successful dental hygienists out in the field, that's a compliment to us. But we still miss you and we like it when people, you know, stay connected with us. For
Yes, and reach out and let you know how things are going. Because yeah,
sure.
absolutely. It's just like a piece of you, like, you give a piece of you to every student, and we carry that, like, whether you think we do or we don't, we carry that, and we're gonna continue carrying that, and there's gonna be things that I'm like the failure thing I talked about in real life, there's gonna be something that's gonna happen to me that I'm gonna feel like, "Why didn't I know that?" Or I'm gonna, like, try to, like, beat myself up at first thinking, and then I'll say, "You know what? Remember when Mrs. Lunt used to say, Zach, why are you being so hard on yourself? Like, you're the hardest person you can be toward yourself. Like, stop." I'll say, "You know what? She's right. Like, I just need
Mhm.
to take a chill pill and be
Take a
like, you know
chill
what?
pill.
Not everyone's gonna realize the things that they did wrong at first and stuff. So just give yourself a little bit of grace." So, um,
Absolutely.
yes.
All right, so tell me, what is the name of this poem? Did you name this poem that you have?
Yes, I did. So my poem, I think I took a little bit of inspiration from, I like to play the game Clue. No, is that what it is? Clue? With my friends sometimes? No, it's, yeah, is that what it is?
Like Colonel Mustard in the
Yes.
library with the
And like
candlestick?
Miss Scarlet and stuff like that. Yes, exactly. We like to play that game sometimes, and I was thinking of like a mystery kind of poem, and I was like, why don't I do something where like the person has to figure out what I'm talking about during the poem? So I named it "Who Am I?" So that you have to figure out which tooth I am, because I remember centering it around certain teeth, because we were, the whole point of the class was about like learning about every part of the mouth. So this part of the mouth, I won't give it away what it is yet, but this part of the mouth really spoke to me for some reason. I've always had a connection to this. So yeah, that's what made me write a poem about it. So, who am I? Meet us in the middle at the occlusal plane. We are the guidepost to keep them in their lane. The mandible is who we guide, right back in place, we let it slide. You can see us when the grin is wide, at the four corners is where we reside. 6, 11, 27, 22. Which one am I? I will give you a clue. I am Succedaneous, you see, helping cut and pierce the food with glee. The shape I take can have three sides, or maybe five if you realize. It all depends on the point of view, proximal, facial, and lingual too. Just how you look is important. Take it from me, I have an assortment. I'm the longest tooth in the dentition, except if you factor in some attrition. If that happens, my cusp will tilt and alter the way that I was built. A short mesial slope and my distal long. If you figured me out, you're probably wrong. Enough information I have not given to you. You may know my length is 7, preceded by 2. Yes, that's many millimeters in length, but that is where I get my strength. If you are old, then you would know. At that age, I may be the last to show. My lingual side gets plenty of action. Fossae, ridges, and a cingulum are my attractions. You might pay attention to my cingulum, for example, when I chew on a plum. Centered in the north and offset in the south, they avoid each other to occlude the mouth. Need a little help? I can tell you feel jaded. Sometimes I can be bifurcated. Between 9 and 10, my crown ejects from the gingiva, so who are your suspects? If you followed along, then you knew. The suspects are 27 and 22. My cingulum is offset distally. Turn to my labial side, then you shall see. My mesial slope should be on your right. If that's what you see, then you are bright. Alas, I am tooth number 27. If that was your answer, you're 11 out of 11. And that's it.
That's so cute, Zach. I just love that, and there's so much tooth morphology in that poem to really help a student learn it.
Yeah. I really tried to figure out everything I could fit into it, and at first, I wrote it, and I think I was not geared toward 27. I think I was geared toward a different tooth, and the way it was all coming out, I was like, "Nope, 27 it is," and I decided that's the one. And also, fun fact, my birthday is 6/27, and so that's 2 of the, canine teeth, so I feel like I've already liked canine teeth so much, they have so much personality to them. My canine teeth are very sharp, so I feel like I've already always gotten some comments on those, and then also having my birthday be the canine teeth has kind of just all together, and also remembering the teeth numbers when I'm looking in the mouth, I usually base them off of the canines. I'll go, like, before or after them depending, so and still to this day, when I'm looking in someone's mouth, I'll, like, base off of the canines typically when I'm counting teeth, so or I don't really totally need to count teeth anymore, but, if I ever feel like there's a, premolar missing and I might get lost as to where I am, I'll go back to the canine to, like, use that as my, like, guidepost, so,
Yeah. That's a
yeah.
great suggestion for a new learner who's really and because when you first are learning the tooth numbers, I see it in clinic all the time, the students, they if I say go to tooth number 20, they have to think for a second. It's not automatic. It becomes automatic, but it's not automatic. So that's a good suggestion.
You can always go to 22 and then go backwards, or you could go from the molars, but at that point, now you're figuring out if there's 3, if there's 2, but is there only 1, like, and then at that point, you're just staring at your typodont typically during, like, during evaluation, and the professors are like, "Number 20," and you're like, "Oh, no, I know, I'm just trying to think of what number 20 is."
Yeah. Well, thank you, Zach, for taking the time to share that poem. I think I mean, I enjoy it. I think it's wonderful. It speaks to oral anatomy in such a nice and fun way. And anytime you can make the learning fun, I think it's a good thing to embark on that. So thank you
I
for
agree.
sharing that with us.
Of course, I'm always happy to share.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think many, many students will benefit from your poem. So
Good.
and sharing of your just some insight on what it's like to be a dental hygiene student. I think you did great, and you're like a natural podcaster, Zach.
Oh, good. I'm I thank you. I was told, back in, like, 2016, my first year of or 2015, my first year of college, we had this, like, writing class, and, somebody out loud, while I was, like, reading, said, "You should be on a podcast or a radio station," and the whole class was laughing, and I was, like, totally lost track of what I was talking about, but I was so flattered. I was like, "Wow, that's so sweet. Thank you so much." So it's funny to still hear it now. I'm like, "Thanks, I really appreciate that."
Absolutely. You have a cool voice, and your laugh is very contagious.
Thank
Uh,
you, thank you. Yeah,
Zach, I think it's great. I mean, I think that you sharing your story about the process of deciding you wanted to go to hygiene school, and I think all of that is really good for other people to hear about because when we're younger, we don't know what we wanna do, and we all figure it out in a different way, and sometimes it's nice to just hear like, somebody might hear that and say, "Yeah, I really don't know what I wanna do either. Maybe I should consider where am I comfortable?"
mhm. It's a
Right?
huge thing. Like, it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I realized this is what I wanna do, and some people said, "Oh, I knew I wanted to be at 10. I knew I wanted to be at 15," and I took another decade, and I was like, "Okay," I figured out, like, 24, 25. I was like, "This is what I wanna do," so it's nice for people to know it's not all right away, and then you have people in my class that are even older, like, in their 40s perhaps, and they're like, "This is what I wanna do now," and I love that. It doesn't matter when, as long as you decide that as long as you figure out what you wanna do, it's just nice to know that it doesn't matter when you want to do it, as long as you go and do it. You told us before, you said, like, It'll come back to me once we finish this, but I don't really remember. But it was something good about pretty much like just take your time and figure out what you'd like, and like things in your life can change. Like this might not be the only thing that you do. Like you might actually end up going to do something else too. Like there was that hygienist that we
Yes.
talked to
I
that,
know
and
that one of the things I do say often when students aren't sure, if they come to my office and they say, I don't even know if this is what I want to do, I let them know that nothing is ever wasted,
that's true.
and that even if you decide 4 weeks into dental hygiene school that this isn't what you want to do, those 4 weeks you learned something about yourself and others that is maybe a building or stepping stone to something else that you decide you want to do. So nothing's ever wasted. That is something I do say often because I can tell that looking back on my own journals and my own life that everything I've done, whether it's something I'm doing now or something I've done in the past, it all builds on itself over time.
I know it's cool. It's just always, and when life gives you experiences, try it out. You never know. You really never know what might come out
It's
of it.
true.
So yeah,
One thing I do know is little by little, a little becomes a lot. And that's something that I heard on a podcast from Sean Croxton. He says that a lot. That's like a mantra of his. And I love that mantra because in hygiene school, you start off learning just a little bit at a time, even though it's at a fast pace.
Mhm.
It picks up speed and you become proficient, right? And you become skilled and then knowledgeable. And then you become sometime in your lifetime, Zach, you'll be the expert passing on that knowledge to someone else.
That'll be exciting because right now I'm not someone else, but then one day I'll be the expert. So that's pretty cool.
It's
I
bound to
know.
happen.
Maybe I'll be the person that somebody eventually interviews and says like, "I want to sit down with lunch with you and pick your brain about being a hygienist," and I'll just think this is full circle. Like this is what I did for somebody else, and this is what I'll be doing for the next person. So
I
yeah,
love
I,
that.
I think that's really cool.
That's true success is when you're helping somebody else be their best.
It's
That's
something that you've been doing do yourself, which is really nice, and you can share your own stories about it and say, "This is how I got here." If you learn anything from what I just told you, that makes me happy. So yeah,
oh, that's a great place to end, Zach.
good. All right.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know next week is Thanksgiving. I will not be publishing an episode that week. I'll be spending time with my family. I'm thankful for all of you. I'm grateful for the time that you spend listening to my podcast. I hope that I reach some of your goals with you as you go on your learning journey. Please take some time to rest and recover over this holiday, and I'll be back at it the following week. Take care. I would invite you to send me any questions that you need answered. Questions come up when you listen to this podcast. I have a link in the show notes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Also, I would appreciate a review if you have time to leave one. Thank you so much.